Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which of course means it's time for yet another one of our weekly viewer specials. If you're new to the channel or series, then every week here on Mondays we showcase games from you all, the viewers. A great way to not only show off some builds that I might not have time to get to myself, but also encourage each other and give us all a platform to share our awesome experiences. So if you're interested in submitting for the viewer special, you're going to want to head down to the description below. There you can find an invite link to our Discord server, the Hexlexplex. Under the Master Duel section, there is a channel called Viewer Special Submissions. There you can drop your 9-digit player ID so that I can see your publicly saved replays. And if you have a particular one you want to share, you can just leave a screenshot or your opponent's ID and name, something like that, so that I know to look at that game. But in any case, let's go ahead and dive into the games that we've got for this week. Okay, our first replay comes to us from Sebastoran, over on the Discord server, who is going to be playing a Primite Fiendsmith control deck, one that particularly focuses on Dark Dragoon Turbo, a card that was made legal quite a while ago, actually, and this is often the style of deck you tend to see it in. Dark Dragoon is a very powerful boss monster to sit on. It's effectively a towers that can also negate. Whoops, do that. So this is the kind of deck where it definitely will find its home here. And it looks like we're also playing the new Primite fusion monster as well, which is really cool. On top of that, our opponent here is going to be on a deck that got recently supported, Super Quantals, with the new Super Quantal Fairy D10, or Zatan. That got recently released as well. So yeah, this matchup sounded pretty interesting to me. Figured we'd go ahead and check it out. It's a going second game, and that's always cool to see as well. So let's see what we've got here. The cool thing about, Fiendsmith control variants in particular is that they're often just as strong going second as they are going first, because they have room for so many hand traps. Yeah, we got a ton here in this hand. So they've got a voiceless engine too. I kind of glossed over that, but we're going to use the Ash Blossom on Barrier of the Voiceless Voice to hopefully cut them off from that and keep them off their Skull Guardian. Okay, they got Emergency Teleport that's going to turbo out the Super Quantal Blue layer, which we're going to imperm on as it tries to add a Super Quant card from deck to hand. I like this. We're keeping our opponent off of searches and forcing them to have opened extenders, which they did. They got the new Super Quantal Fairy here. She'll send off the spell to summon the old Super Quantal Fairy, Alphen. Alright, so this one is going to summon an Xyz monster, and the other one's going to discard to draw a card. Red layer will special summon another Super Quant monster. Okay. There's green layer draws, black layer is going to turn into one of the Xyz monsters. Going to be, ooh, wow. Lustrex, is that what it's called? That's cool. Let's see, cannot attack unless it has material. Once returned detached material for this card, target effect monster on the field negates effects, and it's got a quick effect as long as white layer is in play. I see, okay. Alright, field spell is activating, and then we can summon another Super Quantic Xyz monster. This one's going to be Grampulse. Grampulse can get overlaid into Xyz Armor Fortress. Yep, I saw that Xyz Armor package in our opponent's deck there, so looks like that's how they're going to pivot into that. I wonder if they're going to end up summoning the big one off the field spell here. Oh, that Xyz summon effect isn't once per turn. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. So it looks like they probably are here. Yep, that's exactly what they're going to do. Great Magnus. And now this one gains the number of effects based on the number of materials it has. So it's got 6 materials, meaning that once per turn during the main phase, quick effect, detach a material from this card, shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. The card is unaffected by card effects except Super Quant effects, and your opponent cannot add cards to the deck to the hand by card effects. Wow. So this is like Lunalite Liger Dancer that also stops us from searching. That is a very scary boss monster to end on top of the full armor Xyz package as well. Okay, thankfully, it looks like they gave up one of their materials, so we don't have to deal with this effect. Meaning our Lordly Load is going to be live. We're going to go Drill Beam here and get rid of the full armor Dark Knight Lancer that way. Now we can normal summon Dippity and link off Dippity into the Fiendsmith's Requiem. They still have quick effect shuffle one of our cards back. That's definitely going to be important to be mindful of that. Lacrima sends Engraver. Engraver's going to put back Dippity in order to summon. And now we're going to link off into Sequence. No, Vert Anaconda. Okay. Makes sense. Yep, here's the Grand Magnus. I imagined that's when that was going to come down. It looks like we get to Drew Swarm the Super Quantal Black layer here. Very nice, very nice. Layer 19 Sudden Incursion. Okay, that's a quick play spell. I don't have to worry about that this turn. Lordly Load for Dippity, and then we're going to go into the Chaos Angel. Made with Dark and Light, meaning even though we don't get to activate the Banish effect, our Chaos Angel is still a tower in and of itself, cannot be destroyed by battle, and is unaffected by, was it activated monster effects on the field? Any activated monster effects, okay. So we kind of have a bit of a tower standoff here. Theirs does have 100 more attack points, but ours can't be destroyed by battle, so I'd say we have the slight edge in this situation. Now, of course, Chaos Angel's weakness here is that it is still affected by spell and trap cards, so it doesn't look like, though, they can do too much with that, except for maybe turn our monster to defense mode, which, again, doesn't really matter because it can't be destroyed by battle anyway. All that would do is save us 100 points of damage. Nevertheless, they are popping off here, adding the white layer, moving to battle phase. Yep, they're going to deal 100 to us, and it seems that's about all they can do. I imagine they're going to end their main phase. That's why we're using Lacrima and Requiem here. Doing some more deck thinning, setting up the body on our board, getting the Engraver in the yard. Lubellion's a pretty good top deck here, actually. We're going to put back Dippity in order to summon Engraver. Makes sense. That way we can summon Dippity off Lordly Load again. Here's Vert Anaconda. And once again, here is the Grand Magnus to put back the Vert Anaconda. It's like it's got a Vendetta or something. No, it is the right play on the opponent's part. We're summoning the Druid Swarm, sacking the Druid Swarm for the Lubellion. And actually, because it's got less than 4 materials, our opponent's monster can now be affected. Meaning that we can just send it off with the Druid Swarm, yep. Really showcasing just how much of a control deck this really is. I see we set the new Primite fusion there. And we're going into Vert Anaconda again, that's so good. And yes, Vert Anaconda can send off the Red Eyes fusion, and that will allow us to summon out our Dark Dragoon. Finally, sticking a second... Sir, a second towers has hit the board. Wow, I walked right in that joke. I didn't even intend to make it. It was probably somewhere in my subconscious. Anyway, thank you so very much, Seabass Torban, for your submission. Again, showcasing that Primite Fiendsmith is one of the more effective control decks out there, even if it doesn't look like it on paper, compared to something like Lab or Sky Striker. It might not set a million back rows, but it can still lock down the game very easily, even when going second. Alright, let's go and take a look at our next duel. Alright, our next duel comes to us from Grim. So Grim has a game playing Crystron, which is a deck that I really, really like. And yeah, it's a pretty solid build we got going on here. Grim mentions that they're a returning player to Master Duel, trying to climb back up in the ranks, and I think Crystron is definitely both a very solid and a very fun deck to do it with. And it looks like our opponent is going to be on White Forest, of course, with the new support here. And looks like they're playing a little bit more of an extended Azamina package here, so I'm kind of interested to see if that'll come up for them. But yeah, let's go ahead and check this out. Grim mentions they got Drolled and Floodgated, so I was particularly interested to see how this going second game is going to play out here. Alright, sure enough, our opponent is going first. Wow, we didn't even open any hand traps. But we do have triple attack and a bunch of engines, so you do like to see that when going second. Like, if you're not going to open any hand traps, right, you'd want to see a bunch of plays and a board breaker. Alright, so they're going to go into the regular LZ. Silvera, okay, that's a little weird. No Racila. And then they're gonna go into Diabell. Wow, I didn't realize Diabell's win rate at appearance was that high. Adding back Azumina Determination, yeah, I was trying to... Let me read this card for a sec real quick. It looks like fusion summons, like the Hallowed Azumina. Banish this card from the graveyard, target a sinful spoils, spell trap in your graveyard, set up, and it cannot be activated this turn. Okay. Okay, they're gonna go Deception, tribute Sylvie. Get Hallowed, sack Deception for Murashilago. I almost wonder if our opponent just misclicked and picked the wrong White Forest Synchro Monster earlier, because they seem to be doing well so far, aside from that. Yeah, it must have been a misclick, because they know to do Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. Well, not that that's like a super secret move, I just feel like somebody who was kind of freestyling wouldn't necessarily pick up to do that. It's not the most intuitive play. It tripped me up when I was first learning the combos, I remember. Ilya Sylvia in the extra monster zone, so they are probably going to go into Diabell's and Diabell Star Vengeance too. Yep, there's the Baron de Fleur. Oh, okay, they actually didn't. Wow, that's pretty good for us. But they still have a couple of Omni Negates and then the Diabell here. Oh wait, hang on. Azumina Determination. I forgot about that, so they are going to keep playing. Ah, the Saint Azumina. Yep, okay. And then they can use Saint Azumina to summon Moa Regina. There we go. That's kind of the more closer to the end board that I was expecting us to face. And then Saint Azumina is going to be the Floodgate card. It's a bit of a unique Floodgate, but it does come up in quite a few scenarios, so... Leading with our Millennium Golem, we're going to activate in order to summon and add Wedju Temple from deck to hand. They're going to go for 8. Yep, there's the Droll and the Lockbird. So no more searching. That does hugely matter for Crystron. Although this hand has a lot of gas in it, so we might be able to get away with this here. We're going to go Snake Eyes Doom Dragon to force the first Omni Negate of Baron de Fleur. Now we can triple Tactics Talent. That'll force the Ilya Sylvia. So, and they actually still can't summon anything off Diabell, even if they still had the Silveria in the extra deck, because their monster zones are full. So after this Morian, I think we're good. I mean, there's still the Saint Azumina. But again, this is why it's so good to open a lot of gas, you know, going second. You know, there are a lot of people who will straight up immediately concede if they don't open a hand trap without even seeing what their opponent does, and I think it's always a misplay to not at least see what if your opponent has full combo before you auto-concede. But also, there are a lot of scenarios where your opponent will have full combo and you can just push through it anyway. Now, I mean, there are plenty of times where I myself am like, I don't feel like doing this, so I'm just going to concede and go to the next game, but it's rarely the correct thing to do very quickly into a duel. Alright, we get Sulfaneer's effect, summoning the Sulfador. Sulfador's effect is going to send Fistvern and Inclusion. Cyber Dragon Infinity battles over Diabell. We can negate the Sylvie effect here. Alright, we don't have too much else to worry about anymore. Saint Azumina doesn't have any more Azumina cards to pull out of the extra deck. Baron de Fleur has already used her effect. And then Diabell Star doesn't really do anything by herself on the field, so Morian can reset. They're going to summon Sylvie. We're going into Citri, and that'll let us summon the Quandrax. Corian Gandry, yeah. You know, the level 9. They go Sylvie F, we're going to go Corian F. I think there's a D in there. I keep thinking there's a D in there for some reason. Yeah, we can't target Saint Azumina, but I was just going to say, it doesn't even feel like it's doing that much here, so they're just going to link it off for SP Little Knight, which is a really good sign for us, because we can just use Infinity against that. And now all they have left is one face down card. You never would have guessed our opponent had like a full board on their turn 1 by the way this has panned out so far. These last couple moves, I mean. Yeah, they can recycle Hela as a Mina. Oh, yeah, they can send the Morian. Oh, but they didn't get to summon because it got banished instead of going to the graveyard. Oh, that's funny. Because it's an and if you do, right? Hang on, let me see this. Oh, it's a then, rather. Send one Sinful Spoils card from your hand and or field to the graveyard. Then, but because they didn't do it, like this part, because they didn't go to the graveyard, they didn't get to then special summon the revealed monster. That's really funny. And at this point, they've got nothing, as we can Infinity their SP Little Knight. And I think we already even have Lethal on board. Oh no, we're like 200 short, right? Yeah, I think we were... Now we have Lethal on board. Wow, that was quite the comeback play. Holy, that was excellent. Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for that submission. Rim. Yeah. I don't know why I said it like that, sorry. Thank you very much for that submission, I appreciate it. Let's go into our last duel here. Okay, our final game comes to us from Mika, who has yet another going second game. Actually, all going second games this week, wow. This one's going to be a Dragonmaid mirror match. We are going to be on branded Dragonmaid specifically. Of course, featuring the new support. And our opponent is going to be on more of a pure build here. Let's just get right on into it. I see 4 turns, should be a nice back and forth duel. Okay. Let's see what our hand looks like here. We did get the Maxi. Always gotta love that. Let's see what they do. They're gonna lead with Branded Regained and then go for Dark End Evaporation Dragon. We're of course gonna chain the Maxi to that. And it looks like they don't have a response here. Let's see what fusion monster they summon. Oh no, it summons itself and then it goes for fusion summon, right? Oh, and they can use the Branded Regain to put back. Okay. Like Parlor's gonna send her dragon form, and they're gonna go into Lady's Dragonmaid. Lady summon Kitchen. Kitchen F, they're gonna add the Sembra, the Chamber Dragon form here, and then pass after that. Okay. Okay, it's not a quick effect. I was wondering if that could fusion summon as a quick effect. And we even have the Maxi on our turn. That's so brutal. It's like they're gonna fusion summon into the Shiyu, so they do have the negate here. We get to cycle our Maxi for Magnum Hut in this case. And we're gonna go Magnum Hut to banish the Shermbra here. And they're going to immediately use the Shiyu effect. Wow. There's the House Dragonmaid. And then Shiyu revives the Shermbra, which gives us yet another draw. Good lord. Alright, we get the Hospitality, summoning Lorpar, sending Parlor, and then we can go into our own Lady's Dragonmaid here. Lady's Dragonmaid effect. They're going to chain Effect Veiler to prevent us from summoning another Dragonmaid from the deck. But we, of course, still have plenty of options in hand here. Normal summon Chamber. They're going to chain Tiding, trying to bounce our Lady's Dragonmaid. Now, I was just going to say, we could even use the Crossout Designator against that because it's a mirror match. We can negate their Dragonmaid's Tiding with that, adding Changeover from deck to hand. Reviving Lorpar, and now we're going to activate Branded Fusion, sending away Albaz plus Bestial Lubellion to summon out Albion the Branded Dragon. Albion effect's going to activate here. We're going to banish Albaz and Magnum Hut specifically in order to summon out Lubellion. Then we can go Lubellion effect, sending off the Fuelos. They're going to chain Branded Regained, putting back our Albaz in order to draw. That makes sense, because we of course need Albaz for a lot of our branded fusion monsters, but it's not like we don't have any options at all. Looks like here we're going to make the Predaplant Dragostapelia. Now by attributing Albion, we can summon out Bestial Lubellion. This will of course also ensure that Albion gets its effect later, and we're going to get hit with a Nibiru. Wow. So in spite of all that advantage we got off the Maxi, and I guess we are still continuing to get, we're going to have to end our turn without really making any plays here. We can use Albion to set Branded Banishment though, and we do have one hell of a Nibiru token. Holy, over 20,000 attack and defense points. Branded Banishment's going to activate. They're going to go for Baldric. We're going to chain our own Baldric, and then they're going to go for Tiding. Tiding is going to revive their kitchen. Baldric banishes our ladies to summon itself and then ensure that their Baldric doesn't get summoned. And then, of course, Branded Banishment doesn't get to resolve. They get a draw and a search here, although we're going to imperm the search. They do still get the draw. But they're still going to need an out for our Nibiru token. And depending on how they try to go about that, we might even be able to use Baldric to send away our Nibiru token. If they're going to, like... I was going to say, go into something that could get rid of it, but the Little Knight can't here because it wasn't used making an extra deck monster. And we're just going to smack him with the Nib token for lethal. That's brutal. I feel like they're like desperately trying to do something here, but nah, we're just going to win by inflicting over 19,000 points of damage, again with their own Nibiru token. It's good stuff, good stuff. Thank you very much, Mika, as well as everybody else who submitted for the viewer special. As always, if you're interested in submitting, definitely make sure to check out the description below and head over to our Discord server. And just know that, like, I really appreciate, even if you didn't get featured, the submissions, because we couldn't do this series without you all. And of course, I really love doing this series. I love seeing all the cool builds and games that you all have. So that's gonna do it for now. Let us move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.